The courtroom smells of polished wood, old leather, and a faint metallic tang of fear. Every chair, every bench, every corner seems charged with quiet electricity, as if the room itself is holding its breath. Kody Brown sits rigidly at the defendant's table, hands clasped together, fingers tapping lightly as if he can anchor himself against the storm that he knows is about to hit. Calm on the surface, but his mind is spinning. Every decision, every hidden conversation, every silent betrayal is about to be revealed in front of the people who know him best. And yet, he knows in this room, no one is truly on his side. Robyn sits a few seats away, jaw tight, hands clenched in her lap. Her eyes dart nervously from the judge to the gallery, back to Kody, searching for some sign that the ground beneath them isn't about to collapse. She can feel it, the tension, the resentment, the unspoken truths hanging in the air. Christine, as always, is the first to break the fragile calm, leaning forward with sharp, calculating eyes. "This day will finally expose the truth," she whispers, barely audible, yet everyone seems to hear her. There's no hiding now. The judge clears his throat, breaking the heavy silence that has descended over the courtroom. "We are here today to address allegations regarding the mismanagement of shared family assets and potential breaches of fiduciary duty." The words are official, legal, and yet deeply personal. They slice through the room like a knife, and the whispers begin almost immediately. Across the table, Meri shifts uncomfortably in her seat, clutching a stack of papers she barely glanced at. She had been through many family disputes, innumerable arguments over property, money, and secrets, but today felt somehow different. Today felt final. Janelle's usual calm demeanor is nowhere to be seen. Her hands slightly tremble with her light tapping against the polished wooden table, and she swallows nervously. This is not just a case. This is a lifetime unraveling. The prosecutor stands up, straight, his eyes challenging anyone to be the first to blink. "The first witness shall testify about financial discrepancies found in the family trust," he states. His voice is even, but it carries an edge in it, a silent warning. He nodded toward a young accountant, who came forward, fidgeting with papers, like they might hold the secrets of the universe. Every set of eyes in that courtroom was on him now, anticipation hanging as heavy as fog. Christine seizes the moment to make her presence felt. She rises with the audible clack of her heels against the floor. "Your Honor," she begins, voice steady yet piercing. "These documents will reveal more than mismanagement. They will uncover the betrayals we've all sensed, but none dared speak aloud. Until now." The courtroom goes still. Everyone can tell Christine is not exaggerating. The air feels heavier, as if each word presses down, making it harder to breathe. The accountant clears his throat, adjusting his glasses nervously. "I have examined all relevant financial records," he says, "and there are numerous unexplained transfers, withdrawals, and discrepancies that suggest someone within the family orchestrated these actions." The words land like a hammer blow. The room collectively inhales, tension snapping tighter with each syllable. Kody's jaw tightens, a bead of sweat forming at his temple. Robyn's fingers dig into her lap as she struggles to maintain composure. Meri's eyes widen in disbelief. Janelle looks as if the floor has shifted beneath her feet. Then the lights flicker, all but imperceptibly. For a moment, the courtroom is frozen in an uncanny stillness, shadows dancing across the walls, heightening unease. The cameras that capture every angle reveal a small envelope slipping from beneath the prosecutor's papers. Its presence is subdued, Yet the tension in the air instantly sharpens. Every person's gaze snaps to it. Kody freezes, Christine's smile tightens, Robyn gasps softly, and the gallery presses forward, enthralled. Undaunted, the judge waves his hand to continue the process. "Counsel, please proceed." But the gavel sounds hollow in the charged air. Kody swallowed, feeling the weight of every pair of eyes in the room, weighing down on him like an invisible vice. His mind raced. What if the envelope contains evidence of a betrayal he hadn't accounted for? What if someone he had trusted had plotted out this day for years? He felt Robyn's hand briefly brush against his, seeking to reassure him, but even that comfort seemed fragile, almost temporary. Meri shifts again, whispering to nobody in particular. This is bigger than I thought." Her voice quivers, giving away the fear that she can't hide. Christine leans back in her chair, a small, satisfied smirk curling at the corners of her lips. She knows something that Kody does not. In her mind, she's already looked forward to the chaos, the unraveling, that sweet moment when every hidden truth comes to light. The prosecutor begins to outline specific transactions, dates, and amounts, each one carefully detailed. Numbers blur into patterns, and patterns into implications. A hush has fallen over the courtroom. Even the rustling of papers seems amplified. Kody's pulse races as he recognizes one suspicious transfer. His eyes flick toward Robyn in search of an explanation. Her eyes are wide, shimmering with a mix of fear, sadness, and regret. She opens her mouth to speak, then closes it, unsure if words can even begin to explain. Christine gets up again, pacing slowly, deliberately. "This isn't just about money," she says, voice low but cutting through the silence. "It's about trust, and it's about the betrayals we've all felt but never had the courage to confront. Tonight, all of that changes." Her words are precise, calculated, and they land like stones thrown into still water. Ripples of shock and anticipation spread through the room. Kody shifts in his seat, a subtle tremble to his hands, belying the calm exterior. His mind is racing. Was there someone manipulating these transfers? Has someone been hiding evidence for years? Which one among them has been plotting behind closed doors? Robyn's hand brushes against his briefly, silently pleading for him to keep his cool. While the room feels like it is waiting to explode, the gallery murmurs softly, speculating, some even leaning forward to catch every detail. The young accountant proceeds, his voice steady yet tense. All the discrepancies point to a series of deliberate actions rather than accidental mistakes. It would appear that several family members were aware, or even orchestrators, in the conceit. Meri exhaled a shaking breath as she looked to Kody, Robyn, and Christine. Janelle's hand rose to her mouth as if trying to catch a scream before it could escape. Everyone in the room felt the weight, the promise of an oncoming storm. Every eye was fixed, every breath shallow. And then the envelope slides forward across the table toward the judge, resting there, unassuming yet heavy with implication. Christine's smile grows just a fraction, as if she has waited for this moment her whole life. Kody's head tilts slightly, his eyes narrowing, calculating. Robyn's lips part, her fingers clutching the edge of the table, heart racing. The judge carefully picks up the envelope. His eyes scan the room, conscious that the next few seconds might alter everything. He rips it open slowly, deliberately, with a view to prolonging the tension. The courtroom holds its collective breath. All the Brown family members shift, some leaning in, others recoiling, waiting to witness the content that may well define or destroy them. And in that instant, the fingers of the judge hovering over its contents, there is a sudden gasp throughout the gallery. Heads turn, eyes widen, whispers ripple like wind through dry leaves. No one expected this. The envelope's contents are far more explosive than anyone anticipated. Christine smirks with satisfaction. Kody clenches his fists. Robyn swallows hard. Janelle quivers. Meri's hand rises to her chest. The judge hesitates for a moment, looking at each family member, his expression unreadable. "Before we proceed," he says, and then the words hang in the air, heavy with tension. Each second stretches, each breath lengthens, and every eye in the room is fixed on the envelope, awaiting the revelation that could ignite the biggest confrontation in the Brown family's history. And as the room waits, silent and taut with expectation, one thing becomes painfully clear. Nothing will ever be the same again. The gasp that erupted from the gallery reverberates through the courtroom like thunder as every head snaps toward the source of the sound. A young man, Kody's eldest son, steps forward, holding a worn leather journal. His hands shake slightly, revealing the nervous energy coursing through his body. The pages have been privy to years of secrets, hidden notes, and thoughts that were never meant to see the light of day. And yet, here he is, exposing them to a room full of family, legal officials, and strangers. Kody's body stiffens, his voice tight in his throat. What are you doing?" His eyes are wide, scanning the gallery, the witness stand, and finally coming to rest on the journal clutched in his son's hands. Robyn's fingers dig into her lap as she leans forward, her eyes wide with fear and anticipation. Christine smirks faintly, the corners of her mouth twitching upward. She has been waiting for this moment, knowing full well that the contents of the journal could fuel the very chaos she has so long suspected. The judge, with a sense of the rising tension, clears his throat. "Proceed," he says in a neutral tone, laced with the weight of his position. The young man opens the journal, and the pages shake in his hands. He takes a deep breath. "I found this last week." He begins with a shaking voice, but firm. It has everything. Every hidden conversation, every secret transfer, every promise that was broken. The courtroom falls silent. Even the soft rustling of papers sounds magnified. Kody swallows hard, the words threatening to unravel him from within. Robyn covers her mouth, a whisper escaping her lips. "Please, not everything." Janelle's eyes glisten, fighting back tears. Meri shifts uncomfortably, the color draining from her face. Christine leans back in her chair, composed but gleaming with anticipation. The young man begins reading aloud, voice quivering, yet growing stronger with each revelation. Hidden financial transfers, secret property deals, and whispered promises no one knew about are revealed in meticulous detail. Each sentence falls like the strike of a hammer, each revelation twisting the knife deeper into long-held loyalties. "I just can't believe this," Meri mutters under her breath, shaking her head. "How could someone do this to us?" Janelle's hands tremble, pressing against her face, as if to shield herself from the words she's hearing. Kody's face pales. His mind races. Every hidden action, every decision he thought was private, now feels exposed and amplified in front of the courtroom. Christine gets up abruptly, pacing slowly, her heels clicking against the polished wood. "This proves what I've been saying all along," she says, voice sharp as steel. "We've been living in a house of lies. Tonight, the truth comes out, whether we're ready for it or not." The prosecutor leans forward and adjusts his papers. "Your Honor, the testimony of this journal shows not only financial mismanagement, but possible conspiracy amongst the family members." The words hang heavy, slicing through the tension. There is a ripple of whispered remarks across the courtroom, and eyes flicker from person to person. trying to gauge guilt, shock, and fear. Robyn's hands constrict in her lap. She looks to Kody, her eyes seeking out answers, reassurance, a glimmer of truth amidst so much chaos. "I never imagined it would come to this," she whispers. Kody just looks back, struggling for words, the weight of every accusation bearing down on him. Then a sudden cough echoes across the room. All eyes turn to the back of the courtroom as a formerly silent witness rises. He's a former family associate, someone thought loyal to Kody, whose knowledge could either mitigate or magnify the chaos. "I have information that needs to be shared," he says gravely. "Information that has been kept from you all for too long." The room collectively holds its breath. Christine's smirk deepens, her eyes glinting with anticipation. Robyn leans forward, hands clasped, whispering a silent plea. Kody's jaw tightens, his fists clenched under the table. Meri's face has gone pale, shock etched into every line of her expression. Janelle is trembling, her fingers laced tightly together, her knuckles white. The former associate starts speaking of conversations, emails, and transactions implicating several family members. Each word cuts deeper than the previous one. The gallery reacts immediately. Gasps, whispers, and murmurs rise like a tide, always about to spill over. Each sentence, each detail, ramps up the tension in the room. Christine sits back in her chair slightly, observing Kody's reaction. She has long suspected his mismanagement and knows this testimony will leave him scrambling. Kody sits frozen, the weight of the courtroom upon him. The faces of his family etched with accusation and disappointment. Robyn's eyes glisten with unshed tears, caught between loyalty to her husband and the unbearable reality of betrayal. The courtroom is a tempest of emotion. Meri's voice quakes with every question she asks the associate, pressing for motives and hidden truths. Janelle wipes her eyes, shaking her head, trying to align the image of the family she had thought she knew with the revelation that now faced her. The judge tries to bring order back, but it is palpably tense. Every word uttered speaks volumes. With every glance, suspicion is cast. Kody's mind is racing, trying to plot his next move, explain himself, contain the unraveling of decades of secrecy. In an instant, the young son raises a page from the journal, holding it for all to see. This is the moment," he says, voice steady, but full of emotion. "This proves who orchestrated the transfers. This proves who betrayed us." The courtroom erupts. Christine's eyes shine in triumph. Kody's face tightens, every muscle drawn. Robyn's hand extends for his, trembling, seeking connection in the chaos. Meri's mouth falls open, her features etched with disbelief. Janelle covers her face, trying to hide from the impact of the revelation. The judge bangs his gavel softly, insisting on silence, but the room is electric. Every Brown family member is frozen in a shocking tableau, their private fears now laid bare for the world to see. The former associate inches closer toward the bench, his voice measured. The documents and testimonies prove a pattern of concealment and manipulation, he says. It's time the truth came out. Kody looks around the room, attempting to assess his family's reaction. Robyn won't meet his gaze. Her eyes remain on her hands. Christine is beaming with pride. Meri is choking back sobs, while Janelle quivers with anger, fear, and betrayal. The prosecutor leans back, looking over at the judge. Your Honor, the evidence will reflect multiple points of collusion in this family. These acts were not isolated. They were deliberate, ongoing, and orchestrated. Kody swallows hard, heart pounding. He had known there were tensions, secrets, and disagreements, but the reality of facing every accusation, every betrayal, in front of his family and the law is more than he imagined. Robyn squeezes his hand gently, but even that small act cannot stem the tide of chaos. Then, out of the back of the courtroom, a whisper cuts through the tension. It wasn't Kody. It was someone else entirely. Every head turns abruptly, the silence deafeningly loud, as if it might shatter glass. The people in the gallery lean forward, breathless, as the weight of this new revelation hangs over the room. Christine leans forward, narrowing her eyes. "Who is it?" she demands. Kody's eyes go wide, Robyn's lips part slightly, and Janelle quivers. The former associate looks to the judge, then back at the family, and takes a deep breath. The guilty party is closer than anyone imagined. The heartbeats in the courtroom sound louder now, as if minutes are stretching to make room for the weight of the revelation. Members of the gallery share shocked glances. The young son clings tightly to his journal, waiting for the next moment when the concealed truth will finally be revealed. Kody leans back, pale and shaken. Robyn's eyes glitter with fear and defiance. Christine smirks knowingly, the pieces of her plan finally falling into place. And as the judge prepares to call the next witness, the courtroom holds its collective breath. Every secret, every betrayal, every hidden transaction is about to be laid bare. And when it is, no one, Kody, Robyn, Christine, Meri, Janelle, or the gallery, will ever be the same. The only sounds in the courtroom were the rustling of papers and the odd cough. Every Brown family member sat seemingly glued to their chairs, faces a maelstrom of disbelief, anger, and fear. The bombshell of the journal still hung over them, its shadow too large to ignore. Kody sat ramrod straight, his jaw clenched tightly, fingers tapping out a nervous rhythm on the polished wood of the table before him. Robyn leans marginally forward, hands clasped, eyes wide with a mix of hope and dread. Christine watched quietly, smirking as if she knew the next few moments would irreversibly change the balance of power. The judge clears his throat. His eyes circle around the room as he speaks. The testimony of the next witness shall now be taken. His voice is calm, but may as well carry the weight of impending upheaval. The gallery leans forward as a whole in anticipation of another shock. A man stands up from the rear of the courtroom. Immediately commanding attention is a person who has been within the inner circle of the family, but whose loyalties have always been called into question. He steps forward toward the stand, papers clutched tightly in his hands. "I have information that has been withheld from the family for years," he begins, voice steady yet filled with tension. "And it's time the truth is known." The room collectively holds its breath. Every member of the Browns fidgets in their seats. Christine's smirk sharpens. Kody's expression tightens, with sweat forming at his temple. Robyn grips her hands tightly, trying to steady herself. Meri's lips part in disbelief, and Janelle's fingers clutch each other so tightly her knuckles are white. The atmosphere is suffocating, charged with anticipation. The man begins to recount the meetings, emails, and transactions, a web of secrecy that implicates multiple family members. Every sentence lands like a hammer, each revelation twisting the knife deeper into trust and loyalty. Christine bends forward, her eyes sharp, digesting the information. "This is just what I thought," she mumbles under her breath. Her voice carries just barely enough that Kody hears it, and the words cut through him like a razor-sharp knife. He slides uncomfortably in his seat, trying to hold himself together. Robyn's eyes shine with unshed tears, torn between her devotion to Kody and a reality of betrayal so far beyond endurance. The courtroom murmurs. the sound growing loud as the witness continues to speak. Janelle bites her lip, trying to suppress the tide of panic that's rising. Meri shakes her head, unable to fathom the extent of the deceit. Every new revelation seems to break them further, shattering bonds that had long been tenuous at best. The witness holds up a document. This paper proves the unauthorized transfer of funds, and it names the person responsible. Gasps ripple through the room. Kody's head snaps up. Robyn's hand flies to her mouth. Janelle visibly begins to shake. Meri's eyes widen. Christine leans back, triumphant. The gallery goes silent as the witness slowly announces the name. "It wasn't Kody," he says, letting the words hang in the air. Every eye turns toward the brown patriarch, expecting denial, anger, or relief. Kody's face pales, but before he can react, the witness continues. "It was someone much closer than anyone anticipated." Christine sits up straighter, smirk widening. Robyn's hand is shaking, her lips parted in a disbelieving gasp. Janelle's fingers press into her mouth, as if trying to physically block the reality she's facing. Meri's body shakes with tension, her chest rising and falling in rapid succession. The courtroom is frozen in time. Even the judge appears paralyzed, awaiting the full disclosure of the truth. "Who?" Christine asks, her voice sharp, cutting through the charged silence. The witness looks to the judge, and then back to the family. "It's someone you've trusted, someone you've loved, someone who orchestrated these transfers to manipulate and control." Kody's eyes narrow, his heart racing, as he surveys the courtroom. Every glance he makes seems to carry suspicion, but nobody moves. Robyn's lips quiver. Janelle's knees shake. Meri's hands are clasped so tightly that her fingernails dig into her palms. Christine's face is a mask of cold satisfaction. The witness opens a file and begins to show emails and screenshots, each more incriminating than the last. The room reacts instantly. Gasps, whispers, and shocked exclamations ripple through the courtroom. Christine leans forward, drinking in every word with a victorious gleam in her eyes. Kody shifts uncomfortably, feeling the weight of exposure settle over him like a vice. Robyn swallows hard, trying to still her shaking hands. Janelle presses her face into a tissue, fighting back tears. Meri's mouth opens slightly, unable to believe the depth of deception. The witness pauses then, his eyes fixed on Kody. These messages prove it was coordinated and done with intent. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing and how it would impact everyone involved. Kody's mind is racing. He knows who could have orchestrated some of these actions, but the idea that it was someone else, someone so close to him, sends a shiver down his spine. Robyn's eyes meet his, pleading silently for understanding and trust. But even she is struggling to reconcile her love with the emerging betrayal. Christine rises abruptly, her voice shorn of pleasantness. "So, Kody, you have been keeping this from us?" Her tone is sharp and demanding, but an undercurrent of triumph cuts through the tension like a knife. Kody opens his mouth to answer, but the words lodge in his throat. The gallery murmurs. Robyn shakes her head imperceptibly, lips pursed, eyes wide with fear. The former associate steps closer, voice steady. "I have one final piece of evidence," he says. "It will explain all, and the family needs to hear it before any conclusions are reached." He shoves a thick folder across the desk toward the judge. The gavel hovers above the desk, poised as if ready to punctuate the moment forever. Dozens of documents inside the envelope in the folder are meticulously arranged. Financial statements, contracts, text messages, and handwritten notes reveal layers of planning and deception no one had imagined. Christine is first to lean forward, eyes wide with expectation. Robyn covers her mouth, heart hammering. Kody swallows hard, his jaw firm, his mind running. The judge opens the folder gingerly, and as he reviews the contents, the room is taut in strained, almost unbearable stillness. Even the ticking of the clock on the wall seems to go slower. The family members glance at one another, searching for reassurance, for validation, for some hint of truth in a sea of lies. Then the judge looks up, his face serious. The evidence would seem to indicate a level of manipulation, extending to the whole family. He states slowly, and the person responsible is closer than anyone could have anticipated. His words resound, echoing across the silent room. Ada lets out a sharp exhalation, almost in satisfaction. Finally, she whispers, the truth we've been waiting for. Robyn's hand quivers against the table, her heart caught between shock and disbelief. Kody's fists clench under the table, every muscle tense. Meri's eyes well up with tears. Janelle is violently trembling, while her body is stiff with emotion. A hush falls as the judge proceeds with, when we return from recess, the witness will give a full account, and the family will have to confront not only financial betrayal, but the deeper emotional consequences of these actions. The gallery fidgets, and the tension in the air is thick enough to be cut with a knife. For everyone present, it is acknowledged that nothing would remain the same after the recess. The Brown family is at the very brink of collapse, for secrets are exposed and trust is shattered. Each member is frozen, silently asking themselves who they can rely on, who has told them the truth, and who has manipulated them for all these years. Robyn's eyes, again, lock onto Kody's. She reaches for his hand, and he allows a brief touch. Though his mind is elsewhere, replaying every interaction, every document, every revelation. Christine leans back, smirk still on her face, as she is savoring the chaos she expected. Meri silently wipes away her own tears, trying to prepare herself for the final confrontations. Janelle buries her face in her hands, unable to process what she just saw. The judge stands up, taking a recess. We will be in session shortly, he says. The room begins to empty as family members leave, their heads and hearts churning with anger, betrayal, denial, and terror. Yet in the corners of the courtroom, the whispers start all over again, speculations flying every which way about who did this and what will follow. The doors shut, and Kody sits still, looking down at the folder, his heart racing as he realizes that, after this next session, no relationship in the Brown family will ever be the same. Robyn sits next to him, quiet, clinging to the last hope available. Christine looks around, victorious, yet cautious. Meri and Janelle just look around at each other, terrified of what's next. The courtroom is suffocating. Thick air weighted with tension. The murmurs in the gallery grow almost unbearable. Every seat is filled with spectators, each face reflecting curiosity, anticipation, or outright shock. Kody sits ramrod straight at the table, hands folded tightly, knuckles white. The folder from the previous session lies open before him, its contents a tangible weight pressing down on his chest. Robyn sits beside him, her hands trembling, eyes darting nervously between him, Christine, and the judge. Christine leans back slightly, smirk still in place, but her eyes shine with an almost predatory satisfaction. It's about to get real, she whispers under her breath. And even Kody hears it, a chill crawling up his spine. Meri's lips tremble, and she quietly dabs at the tears forming in her eyes. Janelle sits rigid, fingers pressed together tightly, jaw set as though bracing for impact. The judge clears his throat to immediately draw the attention of those present in the room. We will now resume with testimony from the witness who's been at the center of these revelations, he states, his voice being calm, yet fully weighted with the air of authority. The room immediately falls silent. Every ear strains, and every eye fixes on the stand where truth will be revealed. The former family associate gets up and walks to the witness stand. Deliberate steps. Each movement is measured. What I am about to say will clarify the chain of events that led to the mismanagement and secrecy within the family, he says. This is a story of manipulation, deception, and betrayal, and it involves much more than just financial matters. The courtroom leans forward en masse, tension palpable, as if even the walls were holding their breath. Kody fidgets uncomfortably, perspiration welling up at his temple. His mind is racing, attempting to replay discussions, private meetings, and instances which he had presumed were confidential. Robyn bites her lip, trying to be composed. But her heart is racing. Christine sits perfectly still, taking in every word, every intonation. Meri wipes at her cheeks, eyes wide. Janelle shakes, hands tightly clasped in her lap. The associate begins to enumerate specific transactions, communications, and actions that involved several members of the family in a web of secrecy. Each revelation falls like a sledgehammer. The courtroom is silent, except for the steady voice of the witness. These transfers were not random, he says. They were coordinated to benefit one member over others, and the plan was kept hidden for years. Robyn looks at Kody, her eyes seeking reassurance. Kody's hands are clenched tightly, and his heart is racing. Meri gasps softly, her mouth covered. Janelle bites into her nails as if she is trying to hang on to them for support against the shock. Christine leans forward slightly, narrowing her eyes in satisfaction, savoring the emotional impact the testimony is causing everyone present to feel. The witness then produces a series of emails, text messages, and notes. Each one reveals deceit, manipulation, and careful orchestration. Kody's face pales with each document laid out. Robyn's breath catches in her throat. Janelle visibly trembles, her lips pressed tightly together. Meri whispers softly, "I can't believe this. It's all true." He stops and looks at each family member in turn. "Now, I need to tell them the most important revelation," he says in his low, commanding tone. "Most of this manipulation has been effected by a person whom the family trusts dearly, the person nobody would suspect." The courtroom hushes. Every head swivels instinctively toward Kody, anticipating denial, anger, or relief. Kody's jaw tightens, his mind spinning with possibilities. Robyn's hand flies to her mouth. Her eyes are wide with fear. Christine leans back, her smirk widening ever so slightly. Meri's eyes are round in shock, and Janelle's hands tremble so violently it's almost audible. The witness opens another folder containing handwritten notes and photographs, which he spreads out carefully across the table. These show financial deception and emotional manipulation, coercion, lies, and broken trust that have affected each and every member of this family. Kody swallows hard, eyes darting between Robyn, Christine, Meri, and Janelle. He realizes the scope of the revelations. This is no longer just about money. It's about relationships, control, and long-buried secrets. Robyn leans in toward him, softly whispering, "We'll get through this." But her voice breaks, divulging the fear underlying her own words. Christine stands up suddenly, her voice slicing through the moment of silence. "Kody, you knew about this, didn't you?" Her tone is sharp, accusatory, and the courtroom collectively gasps. Kody opens his mouth to respond, but no words leave his lips. Subtle, nearly imperceptible trembles in his hands betray the coolness he's trying to portray. Meri stands, voice shaking, but resolute. We have all been living a lie. Lies that were meant to protect us, only causing pain. She states, her words resounding within the room. Janelle sits catatonic, shaking, trying to wrap her mind around such a reality, that someone close to her would orchestrate such a thing. Robyn squeezes Kody's hand, her eyes begging for the truth, for clarity. The witness now turns to address the judge. Your Honor, the evidence confirms our worst suspicions. Manipulation ran deep, and the person responsible did not act alone. Several members were aware of, or complicitous, knowingly or unknowingly, regarding the concealment of the truth. A wave of murmurs runs over the gallery. Kody's eyes go wide. Robyn presses her hand against her chest as the heartbeat pounds through her chest. Christine leans forward, watching every reaction like a predator, observing her prey. Meri whispers, "How could anyone betray us like this?" Janelle is trembling, tears running down her face. With each passing moment, the courtroom grows tenser. The witness begins to detail private conversations and messages among the family that are explosive, one after the other. Accusations silently fly across the room as family members glance at one another, reading fear, guilt, and defensiveness in each other's eyes. Kody speaks finally, his voice low and strained. I didn't know the extent." But he is cut off by Christine's sharp, unwavering tone. Didn't know or didn't care. Gasps resound from the gallery. Robyn shakes her head subtly, whispering to herself. Meri buries her face in her hands. Janelle rocks slightly in her seat, trying to process the tidal wave of betrayal hitting them all at once. The final bombshell from the witness is dropped, a piece of evidence that ties everything together. A hidden account, transfers, and a series of emails showing the orchestration of it all over years. The courtroom falls silent again, all eyes on Kody and the witness. Christine leans back, triumphant. Robyn swallows, her eyes brimming with tears. Meri is trembling in disbelief. Janelle silently sobs, not holding back the emotional avalanche. Kody leans back into his chair, the weight of the courtroom upon him now. He looks at Robyn, both their faces a picture of turmoil. Christine just sits perfectly still, exuding quiet satisfaction as she absorbs the weight of the bombshell that has just been revealed. Meri wipes her tears, trying to prepare herself for the aftermath. Janelle presses her palms into her face, overcome by the emotional onslaught. The judge stands up, his gavel in his hand, and a grim expression on his face. Given the evidence, it is clear that the family must face both financial and emotional betrayals before any resolution can be reached, he says. We will take a short recess to allow everyone to gather their thoughts. The courtroom empties slowly, leaving an electric tension hanging in the air. Family members retreat to corners of the room, whispering, crying, or simply sitting in stunned silence. The gallery is abuzz with speculation, curiosity, and shock. As the doors shut, Kody stays in his seat and looks at the papers before him, his mind racing. Robyn reaches out and gently takes his hand, neither of them uttering a word. Christine gets up and walks away, victorious yet cautious. Meri and Janelle look at each other as both struggle to steel themselves for the next confrontation. This session closes on a lingering tension that promises even more dramatic revelations, emotional confrontations, and explosive truths in the next chapter that may redefine the Brown family forever. The courtroom feels colder somehow, as if the very walls are aware of the storm about to hit. Every seat is filled, yet the air is tight with anticipation. The Browns sit rigidly, each mulling over the previous disclosures, each quietly questioning their place in the tangled web of secrets. Kody's hands are tightly clasped together, knuckles white. Robyn's fingers quake as she interlaces them in her lap. Christine sits upright, eyes sharp and calculating, ready to seize every advantage. Meri rocks slightly in her chair, trying to steady herself. Janelle sits silently, eyes set, bracing for what comes next. The judge clears his throat. "We will now hear from the final witness," he announces, his voice calm but weighty, reverberating throughout the courtroom. The gallery collectively leans forward, knowing full well this testimony could redefine everything that has been brought forth thus far. A woman stands up from the back of the courtroom. Unfamiliar to most in this family, yet she exudes a sense of command and unsettling calm. "I have been involved in this family's financial and personal matters for years," she starts with a steady and measured tone. "And I have documents and evidence that have remained hidden until now." Kody stiffens, eyes narrowing. Robyn presses her hand to her chest, heartbeat racing. Christine leans forward slightly, curiosity and triumph mixed in her expression. Meri's lips tremble, and Janelle's hands are clasped so tightly her knuckles are white. The gallery watches wordlessly. Each spectator knows intuitively that what is about to unfold bears serious weight. The woman steps forward, placing a thick binder on the stand. She opens it slowly, deliberately. She seems to savor the tension in the room. This binder contains financial records, personal communications, and a series of correspondences that reveal a level of deceit the family has never seen, she says. Kody leans back slightly, eyes darting nervously. Robyn squeezes her hands together, trying to maintain composure. Christine smirks faintly, already anticipating the chaos this witness will unleash. Meri shifts uncomfortably, eyes wide, while Janelle presses her lips tightly together, bracing for impact. The witness starts reading aloud from the documents. Unauthorized transfers, hidden accounts, secret meetings. Each of those revelations lands like a hammer, the courtroom falling silent, hanging on every word. Kody's jaw tightens. Robyn's eyes fill with tears. Meri's hand covers her mouth. Janelle visibly trembles. Christine absorbs the shock. Her eyes gleam with anticipation. And then, suddenly, the witness holds up a photograph. The room gasps in unison. This shows a secret meeting where plans were discussed and executed without the knowledge of the rest of the family, she says. The gallery moves forward, murmurs throughout the floor rippling like wildfire. Kody's face blanches white. Robyn clasps her hands together, whispering, "This can't be real." The witness flips to another page in the binder. A series of emails and text messages, meticulously documented, proving manipulation, hidden alliances, and plans that benefited some while hurting others. Christine leans forward abruptly, eyes bright with excitement. Kody's hands shake just slightly under the table. Robyn bites her lip, brimming with tears. Meri gasps softly. Janelle shakes her head, silent sobs escaping her lips. The judge, sensing the intensity, leans forward slightly. "Please continue," he says, voice neutral but commanding. The courtroom holds its collective breath. The witness's voice becomes more resolute, with each sentence carrying greater weight than the previous. These communications show that the manipulations were intentional and planned over several years. There is evidence of coercion, deception, and deliberate actions to control the outcomes of family decisions. Kody's face tightens. He had expected some irregularities, but what is now laid bare far exceeds what he had fathomed. Robyn brings her hands up to her mouth. trying to hold back her tears. Meri's mouth falls open in disbelief, and Janelle rocks gently in her seat, fighting to contain herself. Christine appears triumphal, exuding satisfaction. The witness carefully pulls a sealed envelope from the binder. Inside this envelope is evidence that connects all the pieces, she says. The eyes of everyone in the room zoom in instantly on that envelope. Kody gulps hard as his heart pounds furiously inside his chest. Robyn's hands shake. Christine leans forward slightly, eyes shining with glee. Meri's chest rises and falls quickly. Janelle's mouth opens, and her breath catches in her throat. The envelope opens slowly. The witness pulls out a series of letters, receipts, and photographs. The room goes in stunned silence. These letters reveal who orchestrated the transfers, the hidden meetings, and the emotional manipulation, she says. And the person responsible is closer to you than you realize. Kody's mind reels as he scans the faces of his wives, trying to read guilt or innocence. Robyn is shaking beside him, her lips pursed. Christine has leaned back in her chair, her eyes shining with anticipation. Meri buries her face in her hands and shakes. Janelle presses palms to her face to fight off tears. The witness makes the final revelation. The orchestrator is someone who has been living under the guise of loyalty and trust. Someone whose actions have affected every member of this family profoundly. The room is filled with gasps. Kody's hands clench tighter beneath the table. Robyn's breath catches in her throat. Meri is shaking terribly. Janelle's body quakes with the weight of it. Christine's eyes are shining, satisfied and eager. The courtroom leans forward, every eye intent. The witness slaps a photo onto the stand, an image of a private meeting, secretive and intimate. This shows the orchestrator in action, making decisions behind the family's back, she says, unflinching. Kody swallows, fighting to keep his emotions in check. Robyn's fingers quiver as she reaches for his hand. Christine sinks back, happy to absorb the reactions. Meri just shakes her head, whispering, "I can't believe this." Janelle shakes, silent sobs escaping her lips. The judge rises slightly. "This evidence is significant," he says gravely. "The family must now face not only the financial consequences, but the emotional ramifications of these actions." The courtroom is abuzz with tension. Christine smirks slightly, enjoying the mayhem. Robyn squeezes Kody's hand, reassuring herself as much as him. Meri and Janelle look at each other, both too overwhelmed with the weight of the truth. The witness steps back, allowing her words to settle. No one says another word. Instead, the room is collectively holding its breath. Kody leans back in his chair, clenching his jaw. Robyn twists her palms together, her eyes shining. Christine sits forward, eyes keen and predatory. Meri and Janelle are quivering, somewhere between disbelieving and emotional overload. The judge calls for a brief recess, signaling the courtroom to stand. Everyone rises slowly, still in disbelief over what has been revealed. The gallery is abuzz with whispers, with each individual guessing who this orchestrator could be and how it would affect the family. As the Browns exit out into the hall, the emotional toll is palpable. Kody looks to Robyn, words failing him. Robyn squeezes his hand, murmuring, "We'll get through this together." Meri shakes her head, whispering, "How could anyone do this?" Janelle wipes her tears, trying to steady herself. Christine walks calmly, almost triumphantly, fully aware of the impact the session has had on the family dynamics.